The Battlefield series is known for pushing the industry standard of realistic graphics, but just because it looks realistic, does that mean it has to be realistic? With every new Battlefield game, gamers are going to look at its new design decisions and elements and make judgments upon these new things. And with Battlefield 1, a complaint I keep hearing in the community is Battlefield 1 isn't realistic enough. People have said the game's movement speed is too fast and looks unrealistic, and the amount of automatic weapons is unrealistic as well. Overall, the game is just unrealistic. They haven't gotten to play it yet, but let's just make a judgment call right now, whatever. So after hearing this over and over, I started wondering what video game series had these people been playing before to expect Battlefield 1 to be realistic. The Battlefield series has mostly taken place in realistic environments during realistic wars, except for when they make one up, like Battlefield 3 and 4, and that sci-fi one where giant flying hovercrafts flew around. But Battlefield is what I like to call a softcore sim, a game that looks like a sim game, but plays nothing like one. The Battlefield series has a tagline, only in Battlefield, and that means exactly what it says. You'll only see stuff like this in Battlefield. You will only see people jumping out of 3-story buildings with a parachute in Battlefield, a thing that Battlefield 1 actually gets rid of, so Battlefield 1 is already a little more realistic than 4. You will only see people running around and shooting each other like madmen in Battlefield, not real life. You will only see someone hop out of a tank and start repairing it with a blowtorch in Battlefield, not real life. Now, I've never been in the military, and if you have, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the typical mission goes like this. Somehow I don't think that's exactly right, and that's because Battlefield is a game based on realistic wartime scenarios, but still a game. In the case of World War I, I can understand getting lost in the setting and expecting it to be more realistic, but that's just because of our own preconceived notions of what that time period was like. All we have ever seen from that time period is really old photographs and videos that make it look like a really old-fashioned time with much more class and dignity. But these people were just like you and me. I've been stuck in that same trap before when looking at old black and white photographs where no one smiles, and it feels so different and unrelatable. But one of the best images I've ever seen is this one here. People a long time ago didn't really smile in images because it took so long for a camera to capture an image. But this picture shows they were just normal people like us. I only bring this up because I think some people expect this time period to be treated with more respect. And while I somewhat agree, I don't think that equates to Battlefield becoming a sim game. And here we are, back to these things being games. I've made this comparison before, but Battlefield is like chess. All games are. Games are usually a set of rules that lead to a competition of sorts, a fair competition. But in chess, you have a horse that can only move in L shapes and a castle that can only move straight. But wait, horses can move in all directions. That's not realistic. And castles, they don't move at all. What is this? Ugh, chess is so unrealistic. That's kind of how I see people calling for Battlefield 1 to be more realistic. If you want an example in Battlefield, look at the engineer class in Battlefield 4. He can take a lot of anti-tank launcher things with him to take out tanks. There's ones that can lock onto enemies, ones that hit them once they get close, or ones that are just straight up rockets that you have to launch and hope they hit. The ones that lock on do less damage compared to the ones that require more skill to hit, and that's because it makes them fair. That's basically what we call game balancing, making sure that everything in a game works with everything else and doesn't become overpowered. That's why we have nerfs and buffs and patches all the time. Some weapons feel more effective than others, so DICE will make little tweaks to make them more fair. In real life, war is not fair. If you developed an overpowered weapon, that's a good thing, at least for the side that created it. Do you think unmanned drones are going to get nerfed because they are overpowered on the battlefield? Fuck no, because that's not a game. Battlefield is, and if you want something that's a more realistic experience, go play a game like Squad. Squad is a straight up sim game that I've actually had a ton of fun in, but I feel like a lot of people calling for realism in Battlefield would not. I did a whole review type thing about Squad, which you can see here if you want, but Squad can be boring, lots of sitting around and doing nothing, running forever before running into an enemy, and dying in one shot after all that. But if that's what you're looking for, it can be fun. But most gamers aren't looking for realistic, they are looking for action, and that's what the Battlefield series delivers. It takes realistic looking elements and cranks them up to 11. You might think Battlefield has big maps, but play Squad and they start to look like Call of Duty. Battlefield maps have objectives close together, so action happens frequently. Not realistic, but more fun. It has a time to kill that's a bit higher than sim games because while it's not realistic, it's more fun. It cranks up movement speed because while it's not realistic, you get the point. I actually like the movement speed being cranked up in Battlefield 1 because it can cut down on those instant deaths. A lot of times you can turn left instead of right at a corner and just get destroyed by the guy you didn't see just because you turned the wrong way. But if you can move a little quicker, then maybe you have a chance to get back behind the corner and have a chance to come back. And to me, that's a design decision that adds to the game element of Battlefield. I've often said I like Halo because if someone sneaks up on you, you have a chance to turn around and fight back. Yes, you're at a disadvantage, but it can give you a chance compared to what sometimes feels like an instant death in modern shooters. So I look at Battlefield 1 as a game first and a history lesson second. It is themed World War I, based on World War I, and not so much a true depiction of what actually happened. It's no more a realistic depiction than the latest horror movie, based on true events. Oh! Something just pushed the phone out of my hand! Oh my god. That being said, Battlefield 1 actually has some elements that make it more realistic than previous games. As I said before, they're getting rid of parachutes unless you hop out of a plane or off of the blimp, and the support class actually uses LMGs in a more realistic manner. In previous games, light machine guns were basically big assault rifles with a little more shake to them, but in Battlefield 1, it seems LMGs are much less effective without the use of a bipod. The limited effectiveness of the guns will force players of that class to play more defensively and set up in one location. This is clearly the intention because the support class also has those trip mine bottle things, which allows you to cover your back when setting up in a defensive location. But again, this probably wasn't done because it makes it more realistic, but it was done for balancing purposes. This is a game, checks and balances that make every class feel unique but fair. And that's why we have things like sniper glints on scopes and little icons that tell us where the grenade is nearby. It's part of the game that is Battlefield. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think about Battlefield not being realistic or being realistic versus being a game. What would you prefer it more? I honestly prefer it to be a well-designed game first more than following realism, but I also find fun in games like Squad or Arma 3 where they are realistic. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment below letting me know what your thoughts are on the whole Battlefield realism thing. Also, hit that like button if you want to support the show and subscribe to the channel if you're not. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter and all the places. Like I have a Twitter. I'm gonna start posting random pictures on Twitter. I'll do it. I think I posted a picture of lunch yesterday. That's right, I was that guy. Also check us out on Twitch, guys, because I Twitch every week and we always have fun playing Battlefield and a bunch of other games. I just recently got an Xbox, so if you guys play on Xbox, we'll be playing on there as well as PS4 and PC, so come hang out. I'd love to meet you guys on there. Anyways, have a good night. I'll see you next time. If it's morning, then have a great day. I'm pointing, and as I point, my finger is getting out of focus again and again and again.